Today we want to try and beat every single Pokemon champion, and there is a lot of them, as Dawn. Yes, probably the most requested person ever on my channel to do this has finally arrived. Dawn has a very limited selection of Pokemon from the anime, some that are not even available in certain games too. So we're also going to be using some of her in-game Pokemon and some rental Pokemon as well. If a Pokemon faints, it's gone from the whole run, and I can't use any items in battle. Full rules are in the description below. Let's get started. First up is Pokemon Fire Red, and we have the champion for this game, Blue. Our Pokemon are definitely some of the weakest I've ever had during the game. I've used some of her in-game team too, like Kadabra, Blossom and Clefairy. Let's do it. Blue's lead is Pidgeot, and we lead off with Clefairy. We get smacked by an Aerial Ace, but a Thunderbolt actually does fantastic damage to Pidgeot, putting it in the red. Blue will definitely full restore now, so we can just bring him back down with another Thunderbolt. Pidgeot throws sand in Clefairy's eyes, lowering his accuracy before we take it down with a last electric attack. Blue chooses Alakazam second, and we swap into our pre-evolution, Kadabra. He sets up a Reflect, boosting his team's defense. The next turn, we outspeed and smash an Ice Punch, that's a special move in this generation, and we critical hit, taking out Alakazam. Fantastic start. Third, he sends out Arcanine, and this thing is scary, but I do have a strategy. We swap to Quilava on the Flamethrower, and then we get hit by an Extreme Speed, putting us at low HP. We then Toxic him and get hit by another Extreme Speed, putting us low. Now I go for Rest. I'm stalling him out, and then eventually, when Toxic's done quite a bit of damage, I swap into Piloswine on an Extreme Speed. He would kill me now with a Flamethrower, but Blue will heal, meaning we can hit an Earthquake and take down this extreme threat. Executor is his next choice, and we swap into Blossom and dodge a Sleep Powder. We hit a Sludge Bomb, poisoning him and take an Egg Bomb to the face. We then hit another Sludge Bomb and get put to sleep before Poison takes down Executor. Blue's next Pokemon is Rhydon. I burn a turn asleep, and then we dodge a Rock Tomb. Then he hits a Scary Face, lowering our speed as well. And finally, he hits a takedown before we wake up and fully heal ourselves and take him out with a Giga Drain. Blue's final Pokemon and his ace is Blastoise. He sets up the rain turn 1, and we Giga Drain for way over half. His berry heals him a little bit, and then he hits a weak Hydro Pump. This means we take him down with a final Giga Drain, finally defeating our first champion, Blue, but there's plenty more to go. Lance is the champion of Johto, and the next we face, we can actually use a full team of Dawn's Pokemon now for this fight, as I chose the Heart Gold version. We have some powerful Pokemon in Mamoswine, and then we have a Piplup. Lance leads off with Gyarados, and we lead off with Pachirisu. We don't look scary, but a 4-time super effective Thunderbolt shows Lance we mean business as we take down Gyarados. He decides to not play around too and send out his ace, a level 50 Dragonite. Pachirisu then goes for a Hidden Power Ice, which does over half and activates his berry, healing him. Then he hits an Outrage, nearly taking out Pachirisu in just one attack. We go for a U-turn that does like 1 damage, and then we go into Mamoswine. We also then take a hefty amount from Outrage too. Thankfully his Dragonites are super slow, so Mamoswine outspeeds and hits an Ice Fang to take down the first of many Dragonites. On Charizard, I swap into Togekiss as a Fire Fang doesn't do too much to us. We then throw rocks at Charizard, and we get the stat race, increasing every stat by 1 stage. Lance then sends out Aerodactyl, and an Ancient Power brings him to a Sliver as a Rock Slide really hurts us. I Roost as Lance then full restores his Aerodactyl as well. Then we throw more rocks at him, and we get another stat raise, perfect, so now every stat is at a +2. I then Roost again on the full restore, and now we have a very high special attack stat. We take down Aerodactyl. Dragonite then dies to an Ancient Power, and this just leaves 1 Dragonite left. With a ×2 boosted Air Slash, Togekiss practically sweeps Lance on its own, and that was a much needed win. On to the next champion. I decided I'm not quite ready to get rid of my main team yet, so we're taking on Pokemon Omega Ruby Steven. He has mainly Rock and Steel types and Omega Metagross. This is going to be a rough one for sure. I'm doing as many games as I can where we can use as many of our main Pokemon. I'm probably going to regret this. Steven's lead is Skarmory, and I decide to lead with Piplup. I have to let these get some action too. We can't just keep them on the team and not use them. We set up Stealth Rocks, and Skarmory sets up a layer of spikes in return. I go for a Surf and actually do a solid amount of damage before we take an Aerial Ace, but not too well. With a last Surf, Piplup actually picks up a knockout. You go, little buddy. Now he's an issue for my team though, Cradilly. With how weak some of our Pokemon are, we just don't have great switch-ins. I go into Bunary, and after Spikes, Giga Drain puts us below half. It looks like we can just about live another, so I hit an Ice Punch for okay damage as he Giga Drains again, putting us on a Sliver. This is not good. I swapped to Togekiss, but I guess Steven predicted that and Sludge Bombed. We are Fairy type now in this generation, so it's super effective, and we get poisoned. Togekiss then hits a super effective Aura Sphere, nearly getting the knockout, but Cradilly survives and Sludge Bombs again, bringing us to the red after poison. Steven full restores, and I Aura Sphere again. This time we critical hit, taking it down, and that's a threat gone, but our team is battered and bruised already. Aggron is Steven's next Pokemon. Our best switching is Quilava, so I swap into him. We take an Iron Tail that still does nearly half to us, even though it's resisted. I decide to Flamethrower, but we don't get the knockout, and Aggron hits an Earthquake, and that's death number 1. RIP Quilava. This lets me go into our probably strongest Pokemon, Mamoswine. Steven full restores, but an Earthquake just demolishes him and brings him to his sturdy. One more Earthquake, and Aggron takes revenge for Quilava. We're halfway through his team now, but we are battered. Our Moldo, the Ancient Bug, is out. We Earthquake to bring him low, and then we take weak X's at anyhow. Ice Fang will kill, so I go for that, but Steven doubles into Claydol, and we land a super effective hit on him, bringing him low. With a final Ice Fang, we pick up the kill on Claydol, and that's another massive threat beat. He sends back out our Moldo, but after Stealth Rocks, a Stone Edge finishes him off, and this just leaves his ace. This is Metagross. We have to whittle this thing down so we can take it out with an Earthquake. We've got to sacrifice some of our team here. I don't have a choice. I swap to Piplup, who survives a Meteor Mash on 3 HP, refusing to give in, but then he gets bullet punched, and we lose our second Pokemon of the run. I then go into Pachirisu. In a last act of heroism, Thunderbolt critical hits Metagross, getting all the damage we need before he dies to a Giga Impact. This means Mamoswine can now come in for free and definitely pick up the kill on Mega Metagross, and with that we lose half of our team, but we defeat Steven. That was a really hard one. It's time to take on Hoenn's second champion. Our second champion for Generation 3 is Wallace. I've added some Pokemon to our team from the games now, and I've chose to give myself just a Mr. Mime. Let's see if we can defeat Wallace. Wallace's lead is a powerful Wailord, and we lead off with our little Apom. We once again show our power by connecting a Thunder doing massive damage, and Wailord sets up the rain. This means Thunder will now always hit, so Wallace full restores, and we Thunder to take down the whale. We Thunder Tentacruel and paralyze him as he poisons us. We Thunder spam some more, and we get the Parahacks on Tentacruel, which is perfect. This means Apom takes down his second Pokemon. Third is Ludicolo, and we've got to switch. I go into Kadabra, and he starts doing the usual double team. We Ice Punch, but we're doing nothing, and he goes for a Leech Seed. We bring him to round half as he hits a Surf, and with Leech Seed, Kadabra is nearly dead, so I swap to Blossom on a weak Surf. Now we actually get kind of lucky and connect a few Sludge Bombs in between Wallace's heals, so we actually get to take down Ludicolo without much issues. Wallace sends out Milotic next. I hit a Sludge Bomb to try and poison him, and his Ice Beam nearly kills us, so we've got to swap. So into Clefairy I go, who doesn't take an Ice Beam well at all. Then Milotic toxics us, and we hit a Thunderbolt, activating his berry and putting him on nearly half. Milotic hits a Surf, but we survive on 10 HP, and then we critical hit a Thunderbolt to take down the Water Serpent. But this means as Whiscash comes out, Clefairy falls to poison, and that's death number 4 already. Damn. Now we go into our newest member, Mr. Mime. A Psychic does over half to Whiscash, as an Earthquake really hurts us in return, but we take him out with a final Psychic attack. This just leaves a Gyarados left. We are faster, and a 4-time super effective Thunderbolt takes him down, beating Wallace but losing more Pokemon on the way. It's time to go to Sinnoh. Cynthia is a champion of the Sinnoh region. Her team is very scary. We have our full team from now on, so Mamoswine and Togekiss are here to stay. However, we still have a very fragile team. Let's see how we handle her. Cynthia's lead is Spiritomb, and we lead off with Togekiss. We are faster, and we hit Air Slash. Thanks to our ability, Serene Grace, we flinch him. This means another Air Slash, and that's the first Pokemon down already. We Air Slash flinch Milotic once, and then he Aqua Rings the turn after we Air Slash him again. Thanks to Aqua Ring HP recovery, Cynthia won't full restore, so we can take him out with a final Air Slash. This brings out her 8 Garchomp. I swap to Mamoswine as we dodge the low accuracy Dragon Rush. We then outspeed and hit her Ice Fang, and we flinch him. Dawn is using up all of her RNG this fight. Then we take down her Ace with a final Ice move. On Lucario, I swap to Mr. Mime, and we eat an Aura Sphere okay. We go for a Psychic, but we don't knock him out, and an Earthquake just destroys us. As soon as he joins the team, he leaves the team. RIP Mr. Mime. I go into Ambipom and get revenge for Mr. Mime with a Fire Punch. This now brings out her own Togekiss. We hit a Thunder Punch for huge damage, but an Aura Sphere puts us on 2 HP. That was close. Our team is so frail. I then swap back into our own Togekiss on a weak Water Pulse. We then throw rocks at Togekiss and get a boost again. Perfect. Cynthia full restores, but we just keep throwing rocks at him. Eventually, we hit him in the eye and he falls over. This just leaves Roserade, but a stab +1 Air Slash, and this means we get the victory over Cynthia, but yet again losing a Pokemon. Let's head to Unova where 2 champions await us. First up in Gen 5 is Alder, and like Cynthia, he has a wide range of Pokemon with good type variety. I'm worried about him. I predict a lot more deaths for us. His team packs a punch and we're very frail. I decide to lead with Buneri, which is possibly a bad idea, but we'll see. I just can't have him on the team and not use it. And it pays off instantly as Buneri dodges a Focus Blast and critical hits a Selgor for a 1-hit knockout. Perfect. Next out is a scary Druddigon. I'm feeling confident, so we hit an Ice Punch that does a good amount of damage, but Druddigon goes for an Outrage, which definitely knocks out our bunny, and now we're at 6 deaths. We send out Mammothswine, who can chomp down on the dragon and finish it off with an Ice Fang. Third, he sends out Volcarona. I don't have many good swaps, and our only one is Togekiss. We swap into Togekiss, and he goes for an Overheat, doing a big amount of damage but reducing his special attack stat by 2 stages. I go for a Roost, and he starts setting up Quiver Dances, boosting his stats. I now get hit by a -1 Overheat and throw rocks at him, but we don't get a boost. He Quiver Dances again as we keep roosting up. He's now back at a neutral special attack stat and for some reason goes for a Bug Buzz, which does nothing to us as we get the knockout with an Ancient Power. Vanillix, the Ice Cream, is out and our Aura Sphere does a tremendous amount of damage as he sets up a Light Screen, boosting the team's special defense. Alder full restores and our next Aura Sphere doesn't do that much. I'm forgetting Vanillix is an Ice type here, so I go for an Aura Sphere again. We miss out on the KO and then take a massive Blizzard, nearly taking us out. I then knock it out with Ancient Power and get a stat boost by 1, but we're only at 19 HP. Alder chooses Bufalon and Light Screen is still in effect. I have 0 switching, so I go for an Air Slash and we get the flinch. This means Light Screen has now weared off and a +1 Aura Sphere knocks out Bufalon. This leaves his last Pokemon as Scavalier. We can't take it out in 1 hit for sure, and I can't lose Togekiss, something has to swap in here. I go into Kadabra on an Iron Head and it just obliterates us. That's death number 7, fantastic. Now I get a switch into Ambipom. We hit a 4 times super effective Fire Punch and we don't KO. He then hits an X-Scissor, but we do survive it, thank goodness, meaning we can punch him again for the victory. This is pretty insane. Most of our Pokemon can't even take 1 hit and we're losing them left and right. On to the next champion. Iris is the other champion and the majority of her Pokemon are dragons. We've swapped in 2 more Pokemon that Dawn used in game and they're pretty good in Magmortar and Wormadam, although not very good for this fight. Iris's lead is Hydreigon and we lead with probably our MVP so far, Togekiss. Nothing on our team can really take hits, so we hit an Aura Sphere, severely hurting Hydreigon, and then we take a Dragon Pulse decently as well. With a final Aura Sphere, the first of her dragons goes down. Second is Lapras and this thing is an issue. I swapped to Magmortar on the Ice Beam and it crits us doing half, that's fantastic. I then swap to Blossom on the Surf, which we take a little better. Blossom then hits a Giga Drain and critical hits Lapras. Karma, Lapras, Karma. And then Iris sends out Druddigon next. We Hidden Power Ice, doing exactly half to him, and he hits a Flamethrower, but we survive it at just under half HP. 1 more Hidden Power Ice, and down Druddigon goes. This brings out a race Haxorus. If it sets up Dragon Dances, we lose a run here. I swap to Togekiss on the X-Scissor. We then go for an Ancient Power to break his Focus Sash, and we get a stat raise. This is exactly what we needed, as she then starts setting up Dragon Dances. With a now +1 Air Slash, we take down Haxorus, and that's such a relief for me, honestly. Iris then sends out Archeops, and Aura Sphere demolishes a prehistoric bird, and this just leaves her with 1 Pokemon left, Aggron. It has a weak special defense, and we're at +1 and have Aura Sphere. So with that, we take down the Metal Beast and defeat Iris, deathless for once, I'm shocked. But we still have more champions to go, and the upcoming ones won't be a pushover. Diantha is the champion of Kalos and who we take on next. Our team is looking good into her team, but we definitely can't take hits. I think we can do this, so let's give it a shot. Hawlucha is her lead and we lead off with Magmortar. Turn 1 he sets up a Swords Dance, which could be scary, but Magmortar's great special attack stat makes short work of him with a super effective sidekick. She sends out the T-Rex next, Tyrantrum. I play it risky and go for a Focus Blast. We do connect it and that is 1 extinct dinosaur again. Third is Goodra. I'm feeling super confident in our Magmortar, so I stay in, but look how little a Psychic does as we dodge a Muddy Water. I get off a little bit more chip damage before a Muddy Water does do a lot more to us than I hoped. I have to switch now, and the only thing that can come in safely is Togekiss. We then proceed to Air Slash, and honestly, we're doing about 25%. It's a 4-hit knockout. We can never do enough to take it out, so Diantha burns full restore after full restore, while Goodra occasionally hits Fire Blast. It's a pretty long exchange, but Togekiss does come out on top eventually. Now, I see no reason to swap on the Ice Dinosaur Aurorus. It's 4 times weak to an Aura Sphere, and Togekiss just takes it out in 1 move. Then is Gourgeist. As is tradition, an Air Slash makes very short work of her, and she doesn't land a hit on on us. This just leaves Gardevoir left. She Mega Evolves and we swap into Mamoswine as she goes for a Thunderbolt. Mamoswine is faster than her and an Earthquake does tremendous damage, but in return we take a Moonblast, really hurting us. Diantha now burns full restores and we keep bringing her back down with Earthquakes. Eventually she succumbs to Mamoswine and we defeat Diantha, and we're making solid progress as Dawn. However, the Alola champion is up next and he is a pain. How is the person we fight to become champion here in Alola? And I'm just going to say this, we have zero switch-ins to a Z move. Even Magmortar will fall to one. This could make or break the run. House lead is an Alolan Raichu and I lead off with Mamoswine. It's a risky play, but it plays off again as Raichu misses the Focus Blast and an Earthquake definitely knocks out Raichu. However, this now brings out Incineroar. Magmortar has no defense investment, so an Inferno Overdrive will kill him. I decide to sacrifice what I see as a least valuable member here, and that's Wormadam. He never got a chance to show how great he could have been, and an Inferno Overdrive takes away that chance from him. RIP Wormadam, your sacrifice won't be in vain. However, we've now dealt with a Z move, but not Incineroar himself. I go into our MVP Togekiss and throw rocks at him, and we do a solid amount, but no stat raise. Then we take a Flare Blitz. It does so much damage to us, but puts him in range to dying from recoil. An Aura Sphere from Togekiss takes him out, but we are at so low HP now. House sends out Crabominable next. Nothing on my team can swap into this either. I stay in an Air Slash hoping for a flinch, but it just takes out the Ice Crab, so I'll take that. We're slowly making our way through How now. Then comes Tauros. This is fast and it's got a great attack stat. Once again, zero switch-ins on our side. I go into Blossom, who doesn't take a double edge well, just under half, but Tauros is taking recoil. This means a second double edge puts us on death number 9, but we've got some great damage off on Tauros thanks to it. I now look at my team and I'm deciding what to do. Tauros outspeeds everything and does just way too much damage. I go into Mamoswine and Tauros hits a double edge, nearly taking Mamoswine out too, but because of all the recoil, an Earthquake finishes him off. This is starting to get really bad. He only has 2 Pokemon left, a Leafeon and a Noivern. On Leafeon, we have an easy switch into Magmortar. A Leaf Blade does so much damage to us even though it's resisted, but Flame Body burns him, reducing his attack stat. This is perfect. We can now swap to Togekiss, who thanks to burn tanks a Leaf Blade even better. We can then boost up some HP to get back to full as Leafeon just goes for Charms and Baby Doll Eyes. With a final Air Slash, we can take him down and this just leaves 1 Pokemon left. Togekiss is now at high HP, so this should be easy to finish off. We take an Air Slash and Ancient Power does over half to him. One more attack and this is all over. But Noivern flinches us. Fantastic. I don't actually know if we can survive another hit or get flinched again. This has just took a real bad turn. I swap into Magmortar and he critical hits an Air Slash, taking us out. That's just fantastic. We've lost half of our team to How. This though gives us a free switch into Ambipom. We take a Dragon Pulse but not well at all and can finish the fight with an Ice Punch. We lost 3 Pokemon, a really good Fire type and Grass types too. I'm very worried about our last champions. It's time to head to the Switch games though, where we have an easier champion before the hard ones. So for Trace, Dawn has 0 Generation 1 Pokemon available to her. Even though his Pokemon have 3 moves and it's always an easy fight, I noticed on Bulbapedia Dawn used a Grimer and a Dodrio in the Triathlon, so we're going to use them too. Well, by them two I mean Sweep with Dodrio. We have fantastic AVs and access to Swords Dance, so we set up to a +4 attack on Mega Pidgeot while tanking Air Slashes. Then we proceed to unleash the beast. Pidgeot dies to a single Drill Peck. Then Trace sends out his ace and starter Jolteon. We have 3 heads and a massive attack, so a headbutt destroys him as well. The Fire Horse Rapidash is next, but once again a 3-headed headbutt makes short work of him too. Vileplume is a grass type. A super effective Drill Peck from 3 beaks means that's an easy knockout too. We headbutt Slowbro and it's too much for the bulky water type, and down he goes. This just leaves a Marowak left. Testing our head strength versus him, we headbutt him, and what do you know, 3 heads are better than 1. That gives us an easy Trace sweep as usual. I never hold back versus him, I'm not sorry. Now onto the final stretch where things could go either way for Dawn. The champion for Sword and Shield is Leon. His team is really strong and we now have a very limited amount of Pokemon we can use for the fight. I have to pull out a final remaining Pokemon to stand a chance. We can't afford many deaths, if any, as we're nearly out of Pokemon. Leon's lead is his Aegislash and we lead off with Mamoswine, who's been a solid team member. The reason I chose to leave Mamoswine, 2 words, stealth and rocks, as Aegislash goes for a King Shield, so we get them up for free. I now go for a super effective Stab Earthquake, but we just miss out on the knockout. Aegislash then goes for a flash cannon, and we instantly lose Mamoswine to that. RIP, you've been with us since the start. Amazing Pokemon to use. This means we can go into Frostlass. Leon fulls restores, but it's not in its shield stance, so a Stab Shadow Ball takes him out. Second, Leon chooses Haxorus. I see no reason to switch, being it's a dragon type, and we have a 4x super effective Ice Beam, which makes short work of Haxorus. Leon then sends out Dragapult, and it's the exact same scenario. Frostlass uses Ice Beam, Frostlass defeats Dragon. Leon then sends out his water starter Inteleon. I swap to Tangrowth as he hits a Mud Shot, doing low damage but lowering our speed too. Inteleon then Tearful Looks, lowering our special attack by 1 stage, but Tangrowth doesn't care about that and takes him out with a single Giga Drain still. Leon then sends out Mr. Rhyme, the dancing Mr. Mime. It's an easy switch back to Frostlass on the Freeze Dry, which we tank. Thanks to Stealth Rocks, the Stab Shadow Ball takes him out, leaving only one Pokemon left, and that's his Ace Charizard. He loses 50% of his HP thanks to Mamoswine's sacrifice, and we Dynamax first, meaning we are faster. Leon Gigantamaxes Charizard, and Frostlass hits a Max Lightning, and with this, we take down Charizard, defeating Leon a lot easier than probably any other fight really. But that's because we've got great Pokemon in Frostlass. It's time to head to the last games and our last champion. The last champion is Johto for Generation 9 and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. She has some really unique Pokemon, and we only have 4 Pokemon left to finish the fight. I don't want to use the other starters from the game as we already made our decision with Piplup. So this is it. Can Dawn beat every Pokemon champion? Her lead is a Sparfer, and we lead off our last battle with our Frostlass. We outspeed the Psychic Ostrich and hit a super effective Stab Shadow Ball to take it out in just one move. Kingambit is next, and honestly, it's a beast. We don't have a switch in, so I stay in and Will-O-Wisp, reducing his attack stat as he hits a Cataclysm, still doing massive damage. He takes a little burn damage, and then we fire off a Thunderbolt for a little bit of chip damage before Frostlass succumbs to a Cataclysm again. We can now use Grimer. We take a Zen Headbutt relatively well thanks to the burn and hit a Fire Punch, doing great damage. Grimer then dodges a Zen Headbutt and with a final Fire Punch takes down Kingambit all by itself. Out next is Avalugg, and even though Milotic could be a good switch in, I don't want to risk it. I hit a Fire Punch hoping for a burn, but we don't, and Avalugg takes out Grimer with an Avalanche. This is a prime time to go into Dodrio though. We Terastallize into a normal type, and Sword Stands raising our attack by 2 stages, as Avalugg went for an Avalanche as we was part Flying type. We take it pretty well, and the next turn deliver a low kick to destroy the Ice Slab. Johto then sends out Go-Go, and it can't survive a +2 acrobatics and falls shortly after. The loser is Johto's 5th Pokemon. Dodrio's just far too powerful, and a boosted acrobatics takes down the fish as well. This leaves only one Pokemon left, her ace Glamora. She Terastallizes into a pure rock type, meaning a low kick should hurt, but it doesn't take it out, and toxic debris fly everywhere before a Sludge Wave takes out Dodrio, leaving a final showdown with our last Pokemon versus hers. We send out Milotic, but we get poisoned thanks to its ability. Glamora is faster and goes for a Terra Blast, doing close to half, but a final Surf from Milotic defeats Glamora, beating Johto and beating every single Pokemon champion as Dawn. So our total death count was 14 for the run. That's one of the highest. We had to make use of every single avenue of Dawn's Pokemon, from the anime to the games to even stand a chance. This was one of the most difficult runs I've ever done, but it also was fun. I'm happy we just about made it through too by the skin of our teeth. If you have any ideas on who you want to see next, be it a solo or a character, leave them in the comments below. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to help the channel grow a lot. I really appreciate it. This is the last video of the year, so I just want to say I hope 2024 is amazing for all of you. It's going to be a great year for Pokemon content on the channel too. The next champion challenge, we will finally be adding 3 more champions, so I hope you guys enjoy that. In the meantime, there's going to be a Hardcore Nuzlocke coming out, my first ever one. I've never done one, so I'm going to be doing that as well. And as always, if you're still here watching, I do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.